I don't want to get married. I just wish I could marry myself.
And I can tell you I'm super blessed. I have the best wife in the world. We have an amazing life. Building a family is the coolest thing ever.
I will kill, rape, and die for Nicholas J. Fuentes.
The young men that are lost, and if any young man is listening to this right now, like stop watching porn, stop, smoking weed, stop drinking endlessly.
Charlie Kirk never had a kind word to say about me in his life. Now that he has died, I'll say some kind words about him.
Grace and peace, everybody. We are going to jump into the void left by Charlie Kirk. And lots of people are looking at Nick Fuentes as the next leader of the young, if you will, right-leaning generation. I think that's not a good look. I'm going to explain why in a second. So got a couple clips I want to bring in. Let's just let you see what we're talking about.
This is a white country. Want to know why? It was established by white people, founded by white people, built by white people. White people settled the continent. And up until very recently, almost exclusively white people lived here. That's why.
If you go back to the original founding fathers, they intended this to be a European nation for white men of good stock and character.
Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
It wasn't in the Constitution.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it.
The founding...
What does the phrase e pluribus unum mean?
Why is that relevant?
Because it was on every founding document and presidential seal from our founding, which means out of many, one. You, sir, and your ideology is not conservative. It is right-wing, identitarian. It has no place in the conservative movement, my friend. Get out of line. Get out of line.
I just want you to play that clip for anybody that tells you that Charlie Kirk was some kind of white nationalist or whatever that nature. Just want you to remember this clip right here. And because we don't see that. People don't bring this one up and him telling somebody off and kicking them out of line. We don't see that. We see a lot of other foolishness, but not that. Let's go.
USA, USA. USA.
You acknowledge that your point of view is fundamentally anti-American. From the founding fathers, the framers,
100%. Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You know that if you do fucking anything.
Okay, so why the fuck are you even in this country?
articles.
Why not go fucking live in Rome? Or why be in the United States and try to change this into some theocratic regime when that's not fundamentally what the country is about?
We want to make it better.
Overtly saying that you want to run it as a theocratic regime, that you want religion and God to be the number one thing we answer to and not the Constitution? Yes.
As I said, I believe America is the greatest country in the history of the world. I believe the Constitution is the greatest political document ever written. The Constitution was not written for the times. It was written to stand the test of time. Because despite how technology continues to advance, human beings stay exactly the same. We are self-centered, broken by nature, envious, narcissistic individuals that will always try to serve our self-interest. The founding fathers realized that there was this pattern, so they developed a system of government that would decentralize the evil as far as possible and try to have the most representation imaginable. That's why the Constitution is the greatest political document ever written.
I don't want to get married.
And I just want y'all to remember this. I just wanted to run these side by side as you hear people talking about Nick Fuentes is so great. Nick Fuentes' ideas are so fantastic, and they can just replace what Charlie Kirk believed. They're just line by line, step in step. No, they're not.
What are we going to do, Chad? It's absolutely cooked. I just wish I could marry myself. I just wish I could marry me. But I can't have kids with me,
And I can tell you I'm super blessed. I have the best wife in the world. We have an amazing life. Building a family is the coolest thing ever. And my prayer for all of you is that you one day can do that.
The straightest thing you could do is to never have sex. And everyone knows that's true.
The greatest joy I've ever had is coming home to my little daughter running up to my leg. There's nothing that even comes close to it. Not flying on Air Force One, not meeting with presidents. That pales in comparison to your little girl coming up and squeezing your leg.
Raise your right hand. All right, everybody raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I will kill, rape, and die for Nicholas J. Fuentes.
The young men that are lost, and if any young man is listening to this right now, like stop watching porn, stop, smoking weed, stop drinking endlessly, find yourself back to church. That will reorient your life.
I agree.
And do what the church tells you to do, right? Find a woman, marry her, provide, have more kids than you can afford, That's my advice for young men.
Yes.
Don't play the victim. Even though you legitimately can play the victim card on everything we've said,
I agree.
the mindset of a victim is parasitic to your soul.
And we fought viciously. He did a lot to stifle my career and suppressed me in many ways. And I antagonized him a lot and mocked him and ridiculed him and attacked his credibility. He was my opponent. But I would never wish death upon him or anything like that. And Charlie Kirk never had a kind word to say about me in his life. Now that he has died, I'll say some kind words about him. Although I didn't agree with him, I considered him a part of the political establishment. In many ways, I considered him part of the problem. In spite of that, it is undeniable that he was a towering figure in American conservatism. It's undeniable. He was ambitious. He was a hard worker. He did things I cannot do. A lot of people said after his passing, I saw some people make oblique references to it. They said, well, if Charlie Kirk was assassinated, now the far right will step up. I don't know that there's anyone that could fill his shoes. I don't know that there's anyone that can do what he did. He died at 31 years old and left a legacy that many people could not achieve in many lifetimes. He hosted a show 3 hours a day. He went and faced down his enemies in debate. He would take on almost any challengers. I say almost because he wouldn't debate me, of course, but nevertheless, would debate anybody, anywhere, stare them down, and people don't know how difficult that is. He would sit there for hours on any subject, and then he would return home from the command center and direct the largest youth organization, the most ambitious project in conservative politics maybe ever, and he did it all before the age of 31. An absolutely brilliant, sharp, fierce warrior for his values and his beliefs. And as I said, I disagreed with them strongly. I'll make no bones about that, and that hasn't changed. But you have to admire that this was a fighter, this was a worker, this was a champion, and above all else, maybe this is what I respected about him the most. We had our disagreements. Where we did agree is that he would go to these college campuses and proclaim the name of Jesus Christ. And ultimately, that is why he was killed. The gunmen that killed him, they hated him because of his defense of Christian morality. Charlie Kirk cannot call himself a Christian anymore. Sorry, you forfeited that. I do not want to hear, and you cannot allow Charlie Kirk to go to one more public event, one more question and answer, one more ask me anything, without being protested, without being shouted down, without being interrogated about this. This guy goes around from campus to campus in the most artificial and phony and fake way, talking about, oh, God made me very blessed that I control $500 million. Oh, I'm so blessed. I'm so rich and I'm so blessed. And oh, God's been so good to me. I'm such a Christian. Oh, the Lord gave me the Sabbath. I take Saturday off. You sit there and call yourself a Christian and then you make excuses for the genocide of 2 million people? Seriously? You stand there and purport to be an evangelist like Billy Graham? Oh, you're the latest Billy Graham? You're our generation's America's pastor? Why? Because you said the right words? Because you said, God bless, God bless. For Charlie Kirk to go on his show today and say, there is no forced starvation, here comes a rabbi to tell us why, without a shadow of a doubt, he is being paid by them. That is why he is doing damage control on their behalf, because he is on their payroll. And someone who is on the payroll of a foreign state making excuses for war crimes is not somebody that you can trust on anything. That's not somebody that you can take the good with the bad. How can anybody take him seriously as a Christian? How can you go up there and pretend to be a godly man? Why? Because you tell people to get married? Oh, look, I have my kid. You know, he posted the other day, he's on Fox and Friends and his daughter runs up and jumps into his lap. And we're supposed to look at this carefully manicured public relations material and say, aw, what a family man. What a good Christian. He's practically a pastor, the way he evangelizes the young. Well, it's a good thing Charlie Kirk's daughter doesn't live in Gaza, because his daughter would have been f***ing murdered. It's a good thing Charlie Kirk's daughter was born to a rich man in America who lies for a living and is paid by billionaires to do it, and wasn't born in Gaza, because if Charlie Kirk, the family man, if him and his family were over there, if they were born in the wrong place at the wrong time, they would be getting shot in the back of the head for trying to get food and water while they were starving to death by the Israelis that they defend. And that's disgusting. It's especially disgusting in light of what he'll defend. Oh, look, his daughter's in the studio. She runs, oh, daddy. She runs up and jumps onto his lap. And then 2 days later, he goes on his show and says, they're babies. Babies are being starved to death. Well, Hamas is stealing the aid. They deserve it. It's collective guilt. They support Hamas. Release the hostages.
That's Nick Fuentes. And I just wanted you all to hear what he's saying, hear how he flip-flops, how he vacillates. Why is he trying to position himself and posture himself as Nick's friend, as Charlie Kirk's friend, or Charlie Kirk's supporter, or just somebody who just sparred with him, when he was literally saying these kind of egregious things about him just a month ago? Just a month ago, he was saying those things. And it just seems pretty wild. And I do want to point this out. We as Christians do not need digital discipleship. Digital discipleship is not a thing. You should be planted in a real church. It doesn't have to be a mega church. It doesn't have to be hundreds and hundreds of people. It could be a small house church, but you should have a pastor and elders and deacons who are integral in your spiritual development. Us on screen are not your pastors, nor are we your disciplers, really not your mentors. None of that. You should have a pastor that you are involved with, that knows your ins and outs, that knows what's going on in your life, that's involved with your family and all of that kind of stuff like that, or at least some leader within your church. You should have a real human being mentoring you and discipling you, not somebody on a screen. So this idea that Nick Fuentes is going to fill some gap in the quote unquote religious right or the Christian space is a misnomer. Go get in a church. He's a Catholic, for crying out loud. There's already a ton of problems with that teaching. DearWokeC@gmail.com. But no, the idea that you need a digital discipleship program, or it doesn't matter if you're not a part of a church, as long as you're engaged with people online, that is a misnomer, and it's a lie from the pit of hell. Find a good church. If it means that you need to drive a little bit further, move, whatever, find a good church and be a part of a good community of believers who are also walking alongside you to help you grow and mature in Christ likeness. Digital discipleship is not a thing. You need real human interaction. There's no reason for it. And especially if you're here in the United States, there's no reason not to do it. Now, if we're talking about another country where you got religious persecution, we can have that discussion. But here in the United States, within the borders of the U.S., there's no reason. Fix that problem. Don't look to us yahoos here on the internet to be your disciplers, or your pastors, for crying out loud. No, you need a real bona fide living and breathing pastor that is going to walk alongside you, that'll be there when you get married, will be there when your children are born, will be there with the ups and downs of your life. That's what you need. Thank you so much for rocking with me. I'll see you all soon. Grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the JWhit Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.